Something is out there. Not a theory, not a simulation, not a mathematical ghost conjured from wishful equations. Something physical, something ancient, something so massive it has been silently bending the architecture of our solar system for billions of years. And until very recently, we had no idea it was there. Scientists found it, or rather, they found its shadow, the shape it carves through space, the way objects at the edge of our solar system move as if something enormous is pulling them from the dark. The data is real. The signal is consistent. The probability, according to the researchers who first identified it, sits at 99.6%. And yet NASA has not named it, has not confirmed it, has not held a press conference announcing humanity's greatest astronomical discovery in over a century. That silence is the most interesting part of this story, to understand what was found and why the official response has been so carefully muted. You have to go back to the last time humanity stood at this exact crossroads, the moment when science suspected something was out there, before it had any proof. And what happened when it finally looked? In 1781, William Herschel was scanning the night sky through a telescope he had built himself in his back garden in Bath, England. He was looking for comets. What he found instead was Uranus, hiding in plain sight, so slow-moving and faint that generations of astronomers before him had logged it as a star without a second thought. The discovery was remarkable. What came next was more important. As astronomers tracked Uranus over the following decades, they noticed something that had no explanation. At certain points in its orbit, the planet would drift, not dramatically, not catastrophically, but measurably, away from where the mathematics said it should be. It was as if something unseen was reaching across the void and nudging it, subtly, persistently, something with mass, something with gravity, something that wasn't on any star chart. Two mathematicians, working independently on opposite sides of the English Channel, solved the problem using nothing but equations. No telescope, no observation. Pure mathematics pointed to a location in the sky, and when a German astronomer named Johann Galle aimed his instrument at that precise coordinate, he found Neptune within hours, a planet predicted into existence by mathematics alone. That discovery established a principle that has governed planetary science ever since. When objects in space move strangely, something real is causing it. You don't always have to see a thing to know it's there. You just have to watch what it does to everything around it. Which brings us to the Kuiper Belt, and to the discovery that changed everything. The Kuiper Belt is a vast, frozen ring of debris stretching beyond Neptune. Hundreds of thousands of objects, from mountain-sized rocks to dwarf planets, drifting in the cold outer dark. For decades, astronomers assumed these objects moved more or less randomly. Then, in 2016, two astronomers at Caltech, named Mike Brown and Konstantin Batygin, looked more carefully. And what they saw stopped them cold. A cluster of objects on the outermost edge of the Kuiper Belt were not moving randomly at all. They were clustered in long, tilted orbits, oriented in precisely the same direction, moving in patterns that defied every statistical expectation of randomness. Some were orbiting above and below the plane of the solar system rather than around its middle. Others were moving in the opposite direction to everything else. None of this was consistent with debris. It was consistent with something massive, something distant, something gravitationally organizing these objects from so far away that we hadn't thought to look there. Brown and Panicking ran simulations. They modeled the early solar system in its raw, violent, chaotic state and tested two versions of reality side by side. In one version, the outer solar system was empty beyond Neptune. In the other, something roughly 10 times the mass of Earth orbited at a distance between 400 and 800 times farther from the Sun than we are. In the empty version, the Kuiper Belt remained chaotic and random. In the version with the hidden object, every strange orbit fell precisely into place, matching exactly what we observe today. They called it Planet 9. But here is where the story becomes genuinely unsettling. Because Planet 9, if it exists, cannot have formed where it is. The outer solar system is too sparse, too thinly spread, to have built a planet of that size in that location, which means it came from somewhere else, formed closer to the Sun, then hurled outward by some ancient gravitational catastrophe, not ejected hard enough to escape entirely, just far enough to be permanently marooned at the absolute edge of the Sun's gravitational reach, orbiting so slowly that a single years on this planet would last between 10,000 and 15,000 of hours. And this is where the science becomes genuinely uncomfortable. It didn't form in our solar system at all. Some researchers have proposed that Planet 9 may be a rogue world, a planet formed around a different star billions of years ago, ejected into interstellar space by some catastrophe we will never witness, and later captured by our Sun's gravity as it drifted past, a visitor from another star system, now permanently bound to ours. Something that formed under a different sun, in a different corner of the galaxy, with no connection to anything else here. And then there is the theory that is harder to dismiss than it should be. Some physicists have proposed that what is distorting those distant orbits is not a planet at all. It is a primordial black hole, an object theorized to have formed in the first fraction of a second after the Big Bang, when regions of matter so dense they never became stars collapsed directly into singularities. These objects, if they exist, would be completely invisible, roughly the size of a grapefruit, and gravitationally, they would behave exactly like a planet of equivalent mass. We almost certainly do not have one drifting at the edge of our solar system, but the theory has not been disproven. What we know for certain is this. In 2025, the Vera Rubin Observatory in the mountains of Chile began full operations, carrying the most powerful astronomical camera ever constructed, photographing the entire visible sky once every 3 days, continuously for 10 years. If Planet 9 exists, it will move. And movement across thousands of overlapping images taken across months and years, will betray it. The answer may already be in the data, sitting in a server somewhere, waiting for the analysis to catch up to it. NASA has not named this object, has not confirmed it exists, and there is a reason for that kind of institutional caution, because naming something officially, before you can prove it is there, is how careers collapse and credibility ends. The scientific process demands evidence first, but the silence feels different from this side of it, because the evidence is mounting, because the signal is consistent, because the mathematics, just as they did 2 centuries ago when they found Neptune, keep pointing to the same dark corner of the sky. Something is out there. We are very close to seeing it, and when we do, the solar system we thought we understood will need to be redrawn from scratch.